Have you ever looked into your dog's eyes and felt something was off, but you just couldn't explain it? Maybe they didn't bark, didn't cry, didn't whimper, but something was missing. The spark, the joy, the connection. You called their name and nothing. No tail wag, no eager eyes, just silence. And deep down, something told you this silence isn't normal. It's a silence that carries weight. A silence that could be the only warning sign they're able to give before it's too late. You see, dogs can't speak. But that doesn't mean they don't cry for help. They do. Quietly, daily, and most of us miss it until it's too late. In this video, I'll show you 5 powerful heartbreaking signs your dog may be suffering in silence right now. Some of these are so subtle, so easy to overlook, that even the most loving dog parents don't see them coming. But once you know, you'll never see your dog the same way again. And the first sign, it's not what you think. It's not a limp or a cry, or even a bark. It's something far more invisible and far more dangerous. Sign number 1. Loss of joy and indifference. You know that moment when you walk through the door and your dog used to run toward you like you were their whole world, tail-wagging eyes, sparkling body, wiggling with pure excitement, like just seeing you made their day. And now, they barely lift their head. Maybe they don't even get up. No bark. No joy. Just a quiet glance, if that. Most people think, maybe they're just tired. Maybe they're getting older. But what if I told you that loss of interest isn't just a sign of aging? It's often the very first whisper of suffering. When a dog stops reacting to what once made them happy, their favorite toy, their leash, the word walk, they're not being lazy. They're disconnecting. And that disconnection, it's deep. It's emotional. It's how dogs begin to slip away from the world when something's not right, inside or out. Imagine a person going through depression, unable to get out of bed, not because they don't care, but because it takes everything they have just to exist. That's what this looks like in dogs. They're not ignoring you. They're shutting down. Silently, slowly, and it's so easy to miss, because they still eat, they still sleep. They might even follow you around. But the sparkle is gone. The tail doesn't wag. The eyes don't light up. They're present, but they're not really here. And the heartbreaking part. Most people don't notice until much, much later, when the bond already feels distant, and the dog is too far into their own quiet world to come back without help. Try this. Sit next to your dog. Call their name gently. Watch their eyes. Do they look at you with warmth, or do they look through you like they're somewhere else entirely? That quiet stare might be the loudest cry they can give. Because when joy disappears, it's not random. It's a symptom. It's a signal. And if this sounds familiar, if you're nodding along thinking, yes, something changed, and I couldn't explain it, then stay with me. Because the next sign is even more invisible and even more misunderstood. It doesn't happen in the living room. It happens in the shadows. Sign number 2, hiding in corners or under furniture. One day you notice your dog isn't lying in the middle of the living room anymore. They're not curled up by your feet, not resting on the couch like they used to. Instead, they're under the table, behind the curtains, wedged into that small, dark space between the wall and the cabinet. At first it seems harmless. Maybe they just like quiet, you think. Maybe it's cooler down there. But here's the truth. Dogs don't hide unless something's wrong. And when they do, it's not just physical discomfort. It's emotional. Dogs are pack animals. Being close to you, to family, to light and warmth is their nature. So when they retreat into tight, dark corners, they're not seeking peace. They're escaping pain. Something inside them is too loud, too heavy. So they do the only thing they know, get small, disappear, go where no one can see them hurting. And the scariest part, it works. Because most of us don't notice until it becomes routine. Until hiding becomes a way of life. Until they only come out when no one's around. I've met dog parents who told me he just likes to be under the bed. But when we looked closer, really looked, we found anxiety, fear, even physical illness hiding in plain sight. If your dog suddenly prefers the shadows, don't wait. Sit near them. Watch their body language. Are they relaxed or tense? Is their breathing calm or shallow? That space they're hiding in might be the only place they feel safe. But it shouldn't be. Because they don't want to be alone. They just don't know how else to cope. And just when you think it can't get more serious, there's a sign that feels even more urgent. A signal that bypasses behavior and goes straight to survival. It shows up in the one thing dogs almost never say no to: food. Sign number 3, refusing to eat even their favorite treats. You open the treat jar. That sound used to bring them running from across the house. One shake, and they'd be at your feet, eyes wide, tail spinning like a fan. But now, nothing. The treat sits untouched. The food bowl still full. Maybe you think they're just not hungry today. Maybe they're being picky. But here's the hard truth. Dogs don't skip meals unless something is deeply wrong. Refusing food is not a phase. It's a red flag. Especially when it's the snacks they used to beg for, the kind they do tricks for without you even asking. When a dog stops eating, their body is speaking the only way it knows how. It could be pain. It could be nausea. It could be emotional exhaustion. But it's never nothing. I've seen this happen again and again. A dog stops eating, and by the time the family realizes it's serious, they're rushing to the emergency vet, wishing they'd acted sooner. That moment when they turn their head away from a full bowl, that's not disinterest. That's a plea. It says, something inside me hurts too much to eat. And if you've ever brushed it off, please don't blame yourself. So many of us do. We think, maybe they had a big breakfast. Maybe they're just tired. But deep down, that little voice, the one that whispers, "This isn't right," that voice deserves your attention. Even missing one meal can be a warning. Missing two is a message. And missing more than that, that's your dog's SOS. And here's where it gets even harder. Because sometimes they don't stop eating. They still walk around. They seem okay. But their body is giving away secrets you can only see, if you're really looking. The next sign is quiet. So quiet, in fact, that it happens right in front of you over and over, and you'd never know it's a cry for help. Sign number 4, repetitive yawning, licking, and other silent, soothing behaviors. You're getting ready to leave the house. You grab your coat, your keys, maybe your bag, and right then you notice it. Your dog yawns, not once, but twice. Then they start licking their paws, slowly, methodically. And maybe they do it again when you reach for the door. You smile, thinking, "Oh, they're sleepy." But here's the truth. Almost no one talks about yawning, paw licking, and other tiny behaviors like these can be silent screams. Dogs don't always whine or bark when they're anxious. Instead, they self-soothe. Just like humans bite their nails, or fidget dogs use these repetitive movements to calm their nervous system. It's not cute. It's a coping mechanism. And the heartbreaking part? They're doing it quietly, hoping you'll notice, hoping you'll understand. Most people never do. That innocent-looking yawn in a quiet room, it might be the 5th one in a row. That constant licking, it could be their only way to process stress they can't express. Some dogs lick their paws until they're raw. Others lick the air or their beds or the couch. It looks harmless, even boring, but underneath it is a storm. Their body is trying to hold it together, trying not to panic, trying to survive your absence, your change in routine, or even just a loud noise outside. And the worst part, it becomes normal. You see it every day, so you stop noticing. But your dog hasn't stopped crying, they've just run out of louder ways to say it. So they whisper, through yawns, through licks, through tiny repetitive motions that most of us miss until the damage is done. And if you've ever looked at your dog during one of these moments and felt a twinge of something you couldn't quite explain, this is it. This is the signal. And as subtle as these signs are, there's one even more delicate, even more devastating, and it hides in plain sight. It lives in the place you've always looked but never truly seen your dog's eyes. Sign number 5. Dull eyes and loss of eye contact. There was a time your dog couldn't take their eyes off you. Every move you made, every glance they were there, watching, waiting, connected. You'd look at them, and they'd look right back, like the two of you shared a secret, only you could understand. But lately, something's changed. Their eyes don't light up anymore. They don't follow you around the room with that same curiosity. You call their name, and instead of locking eyes with you, they look away. Or worse, they stare blankly as if they're not really there. And you tell yourself, it's nothing. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they're just relaxed. But your heart knows better. Because a dog's eyes don't lie. They can't. Their eyes are their voice, their mirror, their way of saying, I see you, I'm with you, I trust you. So when that light fades, when that silent connection breaks, it means something inside them is breaking too. It could be emotional shutdown. It could be exhaustion. It could be quiet, creeping despair. And for some dogs, it's the final stage, the moment they stop reaching out altogether. They're still breathing, still moving, still here. But emotionally, they've gone quiet. The worst part, it's so easy to miss. Because you're still feeding them. You're still walking them. They're still lying beside you. But they've stopped looking at you. And when you finally realize it, it hits like a wave of guilt. Why didn't I notice sooner? Why didn't I look deeper? But here's the thing. You're here now. You're noticing. You're learning to see what most people miss. And that changes everything. Because even if their eyes look dull today, it's not too late. Connection can be rebuilt. Trust can be restored. But only if we listen, really listen to the silence. And now that you've seen these 5 signs, there's one final truth I want to leave you with. One that can bring everything full circle and offer both you and your dog a second chance. So now you know. The way your dog hides under the bed. The way they yawn when you reach for your keys. The way they stop playing, stop eating, stop looking at you. These aren't quirks. These aren't habits. They're messages. And not the kind you hear out loud, but the kind you feel in your gut when something just doesn't sit right. Dogs can't say I'm hurting, or I'm scared, or I feel lost. But they tell us in other ways we were never taught to recognize. Until now. Because now you've seen what silent suffering looks like. You've walked through the signs. You've heard the cries that come without sound. And maybe, just maybe, you're thinking back to a moment last week, or last year, or even today, when your dog did something strange, something small, and you brushed it off. Don't blame yourself, please. You're not a bad dog parent. You're not careless. You're not late. You're learning. And that learning, that awareness, that's what makes all the difference. Because from today on, You'll see them differently. You'll notice the pause before they follow you, the slight tremble in their body, the way their eyes don't quite meet yours like they used to. And when you notice it, you'll act. You'll sit with them a little longer. You'll call the vet sooner. You'll speak to them in that calm voice they trust more than anything. You'll show them in your own quiet way that they're not alone anymore. One small shift, one closer look. That's all it takes to catch the signs before it's too late. And if this video helped you see your dog more clearly, don't keep it to yourself. There's someone else out there right now wondering why their dog is hiding or not eating or avoiding their gaze. Send this to them. It might just save a life. And if you're ready to understand your dog even more deeply, subscribe. Because in the next video, I'll reveal what your dog's tail really says about their emotions. It's not what you think, but once you know it, you'll never see that tail wag the same way again.